Everybody. How are you? Good evening. Happy Monday. You made it through the weekend, and now we're here to kick off another Moments with Mama Sue. I am so excited about having you all join me because, as you can see, connecting with you is the best part of my day. I want to thank you for joining me on this evening, all of you who have already come online. It is so exciting. Can y'all tell? I have learned how to do something new. I have learned how to navigate another platform, at least a little bit. We'll see if I make it all the way through without any bloopers. But I'm learning something new, and this is terribly exciting for me. I want to say hello to all of you who are viewing on the IGAA Hope Facebook page, as well as those of you, the fam, who are part of the Mama Sue Roseberry page. I'm just excited about being here today. If this is your first time joining, would you pin that in the comments section and let me know where you're from? I like to know that. And I go back through these and I shout out to everybody. So that would just be a wonderful thing. Also, I want to tell you about our greeter. I introduced her in a little bit of a live test on last evening for those of you who caught that. Her name is Lori Williams, and she goes up and down through the comment section, just kind of getting to know everybody and make sure that we keep our conversation lively. So I am so glad that you are here today. Before we get in too deep, I want to invite you to like and subscribe both the IGAA page and also Mama Sue Roseberry page. Share this with somebody else. I think it will help make a wonderful addition to their day. We are going to chat with somebody wonderful. I like to say that this gives me an opportunity to introduce somebody wonderful that I know to some other wonderful people. And that helps us have an opportunity for lively, upbeat, and positive conversation. So the person that I'm going to bring to the screen momentarily is Stephanie Carter. I met her in person about a year ago, and Stephanie is a wife, a mother, caregiver. Ooh, we just a whole lot of things are part of her arsenal or her many hats that she wears. But she also is an author, an amazing author, and her book, I think, will have information that may be good for many of us across many different platforms and use in our everyday lives as well, especially in this pandemic as we're learning to adjust to different learning styles. So would you join me or allow me to welcome to Moments with Mama Sue, Lady Stephanie Carter. Welcome.
Yay, I am here with Mama Sue. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
and
Thank
I
you for
managed to
having me.
get you on the screen without any difficulty. Hallelujah.
You are working it.
I am trying. Listen, we're going to use as an overall theme that's going to guide our conversation for today, just keeping all of the balls in the air or multitasking. But that sounded too plain, multitasking. So I see keeping all the balls in the air. And Stephanie, we know that I have found out in my time of knowing you that you are an action oriented individual. She is about getting it done, and you have written an amazing book called Trials and Successes. This is my copy, y'all, and you can see I got it all posted up, and there's dog-eared sections in it where I have folded down things that were particularly meaningful to me. How did you come up with the concept and also the timing for putting out this particular work?
Well, it wasn't my timing at all. It was all about the Lord. It started really back in March. And let me preface this by saying I've been homeschooling for 11 years. We have two boys, ages 15 and 13. And when the schools shut down back in March, early March, at least here in Maryland where we live, um, a lot of my husband, who's Philip Carter, his Facebook friends were going crazy. You know, they had their all of a sudden their children were home. Uh, they didn't know what to do. They had no guidance really, or very little guidance from the schools as far as what to do with their kids as far as continuing their education. So Phil came to me and said, "Well, since you're used to this, why don't you come up with some tips that people could use to at least help them, you know, bridge the gap until they get back to school." So I came up with about 10 or so tips, and it was shared over 100 times. And so at that point, I saw that there was a need for something like that. And so I started writing down some more things because I was like, well, maybe I can turn this into a blog. And I just kept writing and writing. And I ended up with this book. And I finished it. I started it like in March and finished it basically in May. And then when it was released in August, early part of August, we got the news, you know, that all of a sudden the schools weren't going to be reopening. You know, there was going to be virtual learning going on, or it's going to be at least a hybrid system for some of the schools. And so, you know, there was just seemed like it was nothing but the Lord that had me release this book right around the time that it was needed the most.
Wow, that is amazing. And it's something about being in the timing of the Lord. But God never puts us out there and leaves us hanging. In other words, we're qualified or He equips us before the time we even are pushed out there. And He was equipping you many years ago as you started the homeschooling or home education process.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about what you feel like were the greatest obstacles to you doing learning from home.
For me personally, or just for anybody
Or well, for
specifically?
you and it would affect others as well.
Well, for me, home teaching and home, you know, homeschooling, as a lot of people refer to it as, it is taking complete responsibility for your child's education. So everything is pretty much on you. You know, you're the principal, you're the lunch lady, you're the guidance counselor. You talking about multitasking. I mean, that's all of that into one. And so a lot of people might be scared of that, scared of realizing, wow, it's me. This is all on me. Now I'll get to later as far as no, you don't have to be teaching everything, but as far as guiding and taking that responsibility and not leaning it on or not relying on another teacher or a principal or the school board, you know, it can be very, very daunting for a lot of people. But if you are equipped and if you decide that this is what you want to do and for your child, and if you feel that is the best thing for your child at that moment, in that season, then you know, you will be prepared, or you'll be equipped to handle that responsibility.
Wow. Now, I already know that for a lot of African American parents, we have been told or we have felt for some reason that we were not able to homeschool our children. I was looking at some numbers when we were getting ready for this, and there are about 2.3 million children or
Mhm.
more that are ages 5 to 17 who are being homeschooled in
Mhm.
America. 83% of them are white.
Mhm.
Guess what the demographic is for for African American?
Very, very low.
Very low. It's only 5%,
Mhm.
7% Hispanic, and then 5% other, everybody else on the spectrum. So, why do you think that there are so few African Americans who adopt a homeschooling process for their children?
I think one of the reasons, and don't get me wrong, you know, I'm don't know for sure, but I'm thinking that it's because it's not the norm. It's not something that everybody does. Everybody grew up basically saying, okay, you're supposed to go to school and that's it. You're supposed to learn from teachers who have gone to and got their degree in education, and they are the ones that are most equipped to get to where they need to be, which is eventually college or military or wherever the next step is after graduating. So I think it might be a combination of that, just probably a combination of a lot of people think that it's a fringe movement, meaning it's not real education. And how can a parent be qualified to teach their children, versus someone who is qualified, meaning that they have a education degree or a PhD? How can that be? So I think that's a little bit of that is the reason why in my French movement it's not the status quo. And anytime you're not part of the status quo, anytime you're not in the mainstream, you tend to be looked down upon. And also, I think it's because there's lack of understanding too. Some of the origins of homeschooling is after, well, even before then. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize the homeschooling started way back in the last century or 2 centuries ago, and it built up again, or it came back into existence upon our Caucasian brothers and sisters because of Brown versus Board of Education, where they didn't want their children going to school with someone that looks like me. And so instead of going to private schools, which they could not afford, they just kept their kids at home. So it might be a little bit of all of that, so, but I don't know. I really don't know. But I do think it's a combination of all of that. It's not
Well, there are,
understood.
right. And there are a lot of myths that are circulating out there about the homeschool process and the feelings that we have sometimes, like you mentioned, of just being inadequate to do it. But one quote from your book that I absolutely love was where you said, I don't remember the first time I heard about homeschooling. There were two things I knew for sure. The first thing was that no teacher, whether in public school or private school, would ever know my child as well as I, nor invest in their education the way I could. The second thing I knew was that my boys understood things more like they father, and that their attention spans weren't ideal for the traditional school setting. So that to me spoke volumes because you got to know your own children.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I tell parents all the time that you were your child's first teacher. So just because they are now age 5 or even 4 or 6 doesn't mean that you just let that role go. Of course, as a homeschooler, I kept that role, and for others, if they have the opportunity, or if they can't homeschool, if they don't have a choice. And let us preface this by saying not everyone can homeschool. I mean, it is a choice, but it's also it has to be a necessity. There's a lot of sacrifices that takes place when you homeschool. But absolutely, you should know your child better than anyone. Okay, you're supposed to be the one to advocate for your child. You're supposed to be their number one advocate. You're supposed to be their number one teacher. So, and you're supposed to know them inside and out. And I think that's one of the beauties of homeschool, or just being able to tailor their education to them as a person. So that's one of the advantages, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to keep them at home.
Well, one of the beauties, as you mentioned, of homeschooling is that you can customize
Mhm.
the learning experience for your children. And a lot of us have been challenged with that. Some of the grandparents who may be on watching with us today, and some of the aunties and uncles, everybody been trying to teach these children during this pandemic, because as soon as they said they're not going to school, that was like, what for real? They're not going to
Everybody
school.
got involved, right?
Oh Lord.
You
And we
had
had to
to.
scramble. We had everybody trying to teach the children. And so that has been a very pointed thing to me, because a lot of people feel like I don't have patience to teach these children. What do you do about that?
Well, you don't have patience. I mean, I don't know how many people do. In the book, I actually say you have what's called a patience tank. And the thing is that as soon as it's filled up with patience, it's depleted. So you've got to continue to take a break. You have to blow. You just have to, just say, okay, it's going to be all right. There is a purpose for this. And the bottom line is these kids have to learn, and they are relying on you to teach them. So that motivation would get you going. You need a break, but also the kids need a break too. So it's back and forth, act back and forth. But I think that when you were talking about the grandparents and the uncles and aunts are teaching, what that's also doing is building a relationship, hopefully a good relationship between the child and the adults that's in their lives. And I think that is another benefit for kids to be taught at home.
Wow, this is just so good. I want to encourage you guys to please get the book. You got to get it, because it has so many pearls in here for learning across all kinds of disciplines. Even if you're a Sunday school teacher, if you are teaching adults, if you are trying to work with your children in a after school environment, there are things that you can pick up in here that will be beneficial to you. And I think even choir directors, or if you're trying to teach or train anybody, there are principles in this book that will be helpful to you, because everybody learns differently.
Absolutely. There are different learning styles, and it's just not for kids like you said. It's adults too. There's auditory learners, there's visual learners, there's a reading writing learner, which I happen to be, where I like to listen, or I like to read, and I like to take notes. There's also kinesthetic, where people or children have to move. When they move, they might tap their pencil, they might tap their feet, or they might, play with their fingers, or play with things that's around them, or even, moving a ball around. That motion seems to get their minds going. And so those different types of learning styles is very, very important for you to discover about your child, about anyone who you're teaching. I mean, right now with so many children doing virtual learning, and they are in front of a computer for hours and hours on end, that might be very good for a visual learner, okay, or even an auditory learner who listens, through the spoken word. They can process things through hearing. But for someone like a kinesthetic learner, that might be very, very difficult for them to just sit there unless they are, moving around. That's why I tell some parents, if your child is a kinesthetic learner, or they feel like they're just anxious or something, get them up. May want to tell the teacher offline, look, my son or my daughter can't sit there in the chair for a long period of time. They need to move around. And by moving around, they will keep their focus on what the teacher is trying to teach them. So it's important for you to learn exactly how your whoever your student is, know how they learn. And I'm actually working on another book to actually describing and talking about those different learning styles that will help people. But for right now, you can find any learning style questionnaire on the internet. Just Google it or search for it, and that will also help you. And that, to me, is crucial and you teaching someone else.
Yes, yes, yes. And now let's delve a little bit more into the Stephanie that's keeping all these balls in the air. Now, you mentioned earlier that you were married to Philip Carter. And for those of you that know him, you already know that comes with uh, uh, a hefty brand and motivation and all the things that go with that just to help keep Philip organized and going. So tell me, as a wife to somebody who has so many irons in the fire, what is that challenge like for you?
Well, I just think that I was blessed with the gift of administration to allow those fires to keep on going and those irons to stay in the fire, because I uh, tell him when things are good to go, and because he always has something in his mind. It's always something going on in his head, ideas and things like that. And I'm the one to say, hey, that's a good idea, we should do it now, or that's a good idea, but I don't think that it's the right time, or, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to work.
No to Philip? You say no?
Come on now. We are business partners and as well as partners in life. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to say, hey, no, and oh, that's not going to work, because I want nothing but the best for him. And if you love someone, that you should be able to say no to them, and they should be able to accept it in love.
Absolutely. And then when Stephanie, y'all see her eyes. Come on now. You know, she already said, I'm not playing. Come on now. So that means get her done. We're finna get with this. You wear so many hats, and you've talked about all of the roles associated with homeschooling, like lunch lady, bus driver, all of those things. Then being a mompreneur. At one time, Stephanie, you were making donuts. Who is making the donuts? Where are the donuts?
Right now, nobody's making the donuts. I haven't made donuts in about 6 months, because this whole author thing is kind of taken over, and doing these interviews with wonderful people like you, and so right now, no. But like I said the other day, it will be donuts on demand. So if people really are looking forward to having some of my Stephanie's organic donuts, they will have to give me some notice before.
Donuts on demand.
Donuts on
You
demand,
ship?
right?
Do you ship donuts?
Is that what's that?
Do you ship donuts?
Right now, I wish I could, but there's some law in Maryland that said I can't do it. I forgot about that when I was talking to you too. When I was talking to you the other day, but no, because of some kind of cottage food law or something like that. So I can't ship across state lines. So you just don't have to come to Maryland and get them
Okay, y'all heard it.
next
I
time.
have to go to Maryland in order to get some of Stephanie's organic donuts. Well, listen, we got to talk about one more thing that's
Okay.
involved, and that is being a caregiver.
Mhm.
Because as a wife and a mother, we have all these things, but then you add a whole nother level of difficulty in helping to care for elderly parents and keeping those balls in the air. What's been your formula for success?
Well, just being there. I mean, Phil's parents are close to us. His father is in his early 80s, and his mother is suffering from Alzheimer's disease. So, what we do, well, Phil goes over there almost every day, but I go there about once a week, and to cook Sunday dinner for them, and to spend time with them, spend time with his father, and it's challenging, but it's also rewarding, because God has gifted me with the ability to cook. So I am able to cook for them every week, as well as cook Thanksgiving dinner, cook Christmas dinner sometimes. So it's a blessing to be able to do something for them when they've done so much for us. So we just look out for them. And then I have my parents in Baltimore, and they seem to be doing pretty well. But we have to look out for them. We definitely have to return the favor of how much they have given to us.
Well, you're doing that, and I commend you for that because we only get one set of parents
Hmm.
in our lives, so
Absolutely.
it's very important that we take care of them.
Hmm.
Listen, we're going to do a shout out right quick to all of those persons who are online with us today. I think I can see them, and I'm going to give it a try. Chucky, we're glad to have you. Lori, Felicia, we're glad to have you. Esther Brooks, thank you for being here. Shakisha, Zelma, thank you. Chester, for joining us on tonight. Thank you, Evelyn Sears Burdett. Thank you, Yvonne Matthews. And also Ruby Byers. I know Ruby's in Amarillo. Thank you for tuning in. Christopher Tate. Woo, woo. I'm looking at this scroll. I'm feeling so proud and excited. Thank you, Allison. Thank you for joining us today. And then, of course, the IGAA Hope Network is on. Thank you to let's see who else is this on here. Waynette James Johnson, and also Ian. Ian, how are you? All the way from Detroit. Thank you for joining us tonight. That is so wonderful. Tammy's on, Freda is on. And thank you to everybody. Jesse Hyman Jackson, Norma Muse is on tonight, Tracy Belcher, Gladys Carter, Brenda Sands. Oh my goodness. Y'all have made my day. And guess what else you did? You increased the audience for Mama Sue, Moments with Mama Sue, up to a number that we haven't had before. So I want to thank you for that. For all of you who are following me, I want to encourage you to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. But on my Facebook page at Mama Sue Roseberry, I'm always giving out little tidbits of something extra. So if you were on there yesterday following, I gave a heads up for this trivia question. What was my menu for Sunday dinner? What did I eat for Sunday dinner yesterday? I told you all what I cooked. And for anybody who can pin that in the comment section, then I got a little something just for you, and I'll get with you and make sure that you get it as part of Mama Sue's family. Please like and share. That helps me so much to be able to continue to do what I'm doing. If you like what I'm doing, then be sure and let me know that. If you don't like what I'm doing, be sure and pray for me. Pray for me so that I can do a better job. But I appreciate spending time with you because it's the best part of my day. Stephanie, before we get ready to close out on today, would you just kind of leave us with a parting message regarding maintaining balance in your life and keeping all the balls in the air? Uh-oh, something's wrong.
Uh-oh,
There we
can you
go.
hear me?
Now, yeah.
Okay. Okay. One thing I've come to learn is that I'm not superwoman, even though I try to be, because when I try to be superwoman, I just did not do things well. And I got sick, stressed out. But realize what your limits are and that you only can do but so much. You only have 24 hours in a day. And as much as you want to fill those 24 hours, most of that should be, or at least a third of it should be sleeping to recharge yourself, recharge your mind and your body. Just realize and keep the stress levels down. This is a very, very stressful time for a lot of people, for a lot of parents who are trying to keep their kids safe, trying to educate them. There's a lot of people that are stressed out because they can't visit their loved ones or they can't see their loved ones. There's been a lot of people that have gone home to be with the Lord during this period, and people were not able to say goodbye like they wanted to. So there's a lot of stress going on. Stay prayed up stay close to the Lord, read your Bible, stay in prayer and meditation with Him, and so that He can give you a clear direction of where you need to go. And like we were talking about, Mama Sue, during this time, this is also the time to branch out to discover, because this period we're going through, meaning we're going through, it's going to end. And people that have not discovered, have not improved themselves, have not branched out and done different things, are going to be left behind. And the people that have decided to move forward and decide that they're going to be better than they were before, they're the ones that are going to be ahead. So I will encourage that to everyone, or for everyone.
Well, we thank you so much, Stephanie. I do, for joining me on today. I appreciate you so much. I'm so proud of what you're doing.
Thank
I
you.
feel like it's a magnificent thing to be able to see your gifts begin to flourish, and not only use your gifts, but bless other people through what you're doing. So I know it's part of your kingdom assignment that you are able to write so well and to uh, get these thoughts out so that all of us can enjoy them. I thank you for being here. For those of you who are wanting to follow Stephanie, you can do so on LinkedIn, Stephanie Carter. And you can also follow her on Instagram and Facebook with Stephanie. Is it Steph or Stephanie?
Facebook is Steph Publishing. So
Steph Publishing.
STEPH Publishing. That's on
And
Facebook.
please go out and get her book, Trials and Successes. It will be good for you. And then you can pass it on to somebody else that you know, because guaranteed they're going to need it, because these children, these children are needing our assistance. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in today, everybody that did. I am so pleased that you're here. I love you, and connecting with you is the best part of my day. I look forward to seeing you on the next Moments with Mama Sue, which will take place on the first Monday of November. And until then, take good care of you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.